Welcome back, MTG Joe here. We're returning to the weekly meta breakdown where we look at the top performing decks on the MTG Arena ladder. This video is going to be for Standard Best of 1, Standard Best of 3, as well as the other formats will be out over the next couple days. One thing with Explorer and Historic is we need to hit 7 days since the release of the last set, then I can unlock the filter and be able to kind of drill down. Right now in Explorer, it's Amalia combo and Phoenix is the only deck showing up. I want to be able to feature a video with more than 2 decks in it, so giving me another day or 2 on those. Timeless, I've spoke to the folks at Untapped. They are looking to build out the filter and get some stats there. But been putting out a lot of Timeless content if you're interested in the format, some primer videos and gameplay as well. But for those new, what we do is each week we look at Untapped GG, companion tool that runs alongside Arena's client, aggregates user win rates, gives us a whole bunch of cool stats, tracks your own win rates. Link is in the video description if you want to get started with Untapped. I'll paste all these deck lists, kind of go from there. For other best of 3 tournaments, true to paper kind of style, we'll also look at tournament results, MTGO leagues, stuff like that to give you a weekly snapshot of what's performing well in the meta. So we're going to start off looking at the popularity of decks, and then we'll move to the decks themselves. Popular decks don't necessarily correlate to the highest win rate. It's what people are playing the most, from restriction on wildcards to things they enjoy to just being fun or flavor of the week. So these are things that generally are what we're going to be looking at in this case. So we're looking Diamond and Mythic rank. Most popular deck is Mono Red at 17.5. Mono Red's consistently been towards the top. We've seen kind of a glut here now with Mono White Humans, Selesnya Enchantments, and Azorius Control, all in the 7 to 8% range. And then there's a big kind of drop off in the sub 4% Mono Black Aggro, Boros Aggro, Esper Control, and Dimir Control. For the most part, it's been fairly static. We look at a lot of these lines, like Mono White's had the biggest drop from 17% early to, half its meta share in terms of games played, but some of that could be in part because it's being split up between like the Boros variants. They're kind of core is the same deck with it being like a human focused deck, but we might get folks that are splitting that. We've just seen like really the only deck that's seen some increase. We had Selesnya Enchantments jump up a bit, but kind of drop from week to week. And then Azorius Control has been slowly creeping up. Sunfalls are coming for you. But we will jump in. So we're looking December 9th through to the 16th. Diamond and Mythic rank, 96,000 games of Magic played. And not even on the radar in terms of most played, but 66%. Gruul, Picnic Raider, Gruul, kind of Sly, Aggro. And what we're trying to do with this deck, there's a lot of 1-drops, so I'm going to have to scroll down. But it's like a prowess, so you have Scamp that gets bigger, so you're basically just using pump spells and ways to increase power. You have Swiss Spear, you have Amaya, Questing Druid, Picnic Ruin can get double strike, but also puts counters. Using even like Lizard's Blade as a way to get double strike. Kellen can find auras or equipments. You have Phyrexian Dragon Engine that refills your hand as well. But really kind of the combo is, hey, look, let's cast Scamp. We'll Giant Growth it a couple times, Audacity it, and then once it deals combat damage, you sack it and deal that extra kind of damage to your opponent. Mirren Bane Splitter, 1 mana, enters the battlefield attached to a creature. So it's just like a bunch of ways to get power onto your creatures. Very aggressively slanted deck, 20 Lion Special, which is great for best of 1. Thran Portal, because the Gruul mana base is pretty caca for like super low to the ground aggro. Like you don't want Rockvale because most of the time you're only going to be operating on like 2 to 3 lions at most, and most of the time it's going to come into play tapped. You want to maximize your untapped land on turn 1. From there we go to Mono White Humans, 65%, so second most played deck, second highest win rate of the decks. And this one here is going to be a couple Cavern of Souls. There's not too many counter spells in best of 1, and you're not really playing off color, but something to note there that they're playing a couple. They've gone down to now 1 Hopeful Initiate with the full 4 Luminarch. Luminarch helps in these aggressive mirrors just to gain incidental life. It's also 2 bodies in 1. Recruitment Officer for card advantage, Scroll for protection, Copper Coat makes your other creatures more powerful, gives them ward. Trepid Adversary is another kind of lord effect. A couple Spellbook vendors. We've seen Kellen in the spot. We've seen the Wandering whatever, the 1 mana that's creature that you can tap 3 artifacts or creatures. and it gets bigger, usually seen in the more Convoke style decks. Thalia for tax, Brutal Cathar's removal, Adeline playing with the tokens, kind of work really nice with Lunarch Veteran, and then Knight Errant of Eos for a card advantage. Single Mishra's Foundry, single Ganjo in the mana base as well. This one's nice and easy. I play creatures, I play lands, I make your life total go to 0. Then go to Mono Red, 62%, most played deck, third highest win rate. And we've seen the decks kind of shift to the full Witchstalker Frenzy. We're seeing that more and more in the best of 3 versions as well. This version here, we have Kumano, Swiftspears, Monstrous Rages, full Phoenix Chick, full Play with Fire, only 3 Charming Scoundrel. It's nice to see that they've now trimmed some of the lists. Like the last couple of weeks, we're playing like 3 Feldons, which I think is wrong. It's legendary, doesn't really block in creature matchups. You don't want to draw more than 1 usually. But Bloodthirsty is very strong. Just a couple copies of Godric, 1 copy of Squeeze, so a lot leaner version of the deck. This one was shifting down on the number of 3 drops. It's also playing 20 lands. Usually in best of 3, you'll see 23 lands with 3 Mishras and up to 2 Sokuzans being played as well. Then go to Azorius Control, 60.5, 61% after 190 games. And this version here is just playing a lot of cheap removal, Marches, Destroy Evil, Get Lost, Soul Partition, Temporary Lockdown, just kind of a 3-mana sweeper in this format. We've seen a lot of really low to the ground aggressive decks so far, so this is a nice way to clean those up. 3 Celestis seems a little much. I guess it's really just to try to anchor that turn 4 Sunfall, but I think I would probably trim at least a copy of this and probably play like another cheap 1-drop, like Elspeth Smite, something like that. Just 3 seems a little much. If they weren't legendary, then maybe, but you have Jace Perfected Mind as your win con, as well as the Wandering Emperor, Sunfall tokens. This version's playing Invasion of Archivist, which can let you search outside your library, so you can get any of these kind of situationally needed cards. I think even maining Sunset Reveille could be really relevant in this format. We've seen a lot of aggressive decks, so this can help offset that. But sweepers, this one's just trying to discourage your opponent from loading the game again. Rage quit, go on Reddit, complain that there's too many sweepers. I think the sweeper's stupid, Sunfall. I think Farewell's stupid. Just stop making exile-based sweepers. But this one's an annoying deck to play against. Some Restless Anchorage as your win condition as well in the mana base. As I mentioned, actually, this one's called Boros Tokens. This one's a sweet one. It's Boros Millennium Calendar with All Is One. So, not really sure where the tokens come, but what are we trying to do with this one? This one's also a 60% win rate. So you're using Millennium Calendar to win the game with 1,000 counters on it, or Millennium Calendar with All Will Be One. When you put counters on it, deals that much damage. You're using Chimley as a way to kind of cascade Discover into these pieces, and then the rest of the deck is just trying to stay alive or ramp. So Ironcrag, Celestis as ramp to populate, and Sunfall as sweepers, Wandering Emperor in there. You have Brass Tunnel Grinder as a way to try to set up Discover and kind of churn through your deck, get rid of the redundant pieces. Sunset Revelry gains you some life. And then the Invasion of Mercadia, again, just draw discard style effects as a way to kind of churn through to find your combo pieces. So you can quickly deal a lot of damage to your opponent. The mana base here, you can probably get away with like Iganjo, Sokuzan in here. I'd probably play at least a couple copies of Myrex. You can enhance it a bit. You can do Biovac, but you probably don't want the tap land. I think just at least play the channel lands in the mana base, but kind of a cool one. We haven't seen something like this in reasonable sample size with the win rate connected to it. I have mono white humans twice, so we're just gonna cut that one. We have Selesnya Enchantments here, 59.6%, and this deck's been largely the same since Kamigawa. Mashiko's powers basically make big things. Generous Visitor pumps, Kami gets bigger itself, Weaver of Harmony doubles ETB style effects, Calyx makes things bigger as well, and could copy. I always say I don't think you should be playing 4 Calyx. I think you should do a 3-2 split with Catilda. Again, we've seen pretty much nothing but aggressive decks having something that can gain you life. is really relevant in this format, and Calyx can die to a number of things, where Catilda can outpace a lot of the burn-based damage. Mashiko with like the trample from either like Kami or Audacity gets things really large as well. The mana base here is very basic. Play the full Overgrown Tombs, play the Brushlands, play a Gonjo. So this is kind of a little bit of a budget mana base. There's ways you can definitely enhance it. You should be with Ossification playing 10 basics, but at the very least play like a Boseiju and a Gonjo, and then like 2 Brushlands, and you're probably fine from there. Then we go to Boros Aggro, 58.5%. So this is kind of the Pioneer Convoke at home in Standard. So a lot of the pieces that we see in Convoke in the Pioneer version or Explorer are seen in this deck here. Gleeful Demolition, targeting an artifact, gets you 3 goblins. That's either used through like the Blood Token or Yodian First Liner. Warden of the Inner Sky has a bunch of things to tap down to make it bigger. Charming Scoundrel can get you kind of 2 effects like the Treasure Token or like a Wicked Roll, draw, discard. Regal Bunnycorn gets really big in the deck. Resolute Reinforcement, multiple bodies. Immodanes gives power to a wide board. Sanguine Evangelist, kind of similar idea when it attacks, also makes multiple bodies. And then Knight Errant can convoke to find you more cards. Thran Portals, Murex, just a bunch of basics. The Boros doesn't have a fast line, so it's using some of these like Thran Portals and Murex as ways to have an additional untapped land on 1 that's multicolor. Then go to Selesnya Humans. So pick your flavor of humans and colors based white. So this version we see like the Hopeful Initiates, Luminarchs, Warden of the Inner Sky. I think really like you probably still want to have Recruitment Officer in there. I think for the card advantage it's super relevant. This version is playing a full set of Kellans though, which when it attacks allows you to kind of dig for creatures. Copper Codes, Mylara's Protection, Brutal Cathar Adeline, which we saw. Then you have your Angel package on the top end of Sigarda, which gives your humans +1, and Coven, when it attacks, you can put cards into your hand. And then Sigarda Font of Blessings, that lets you play humans off the top and gives them hexproof. So very powerful top-end angels to supplement your human package. Cavern of Souls in this deck, because you're playing multicolor and can also hit the angels. Secluded Courtyard and Plaza Heroes all help you cast the off-color cards. And then lastly, Jurassic Park is in the house. Gruul Dinos, 57% win rate. Still don't know most of the cards in the set, and it's like I opened every card other than Dinos in it. I'm at like 80% set completion, and it just won't give me dinosaurs. I've opened like 200 packs, and I don't have an Intrepid Paleontologist, which is funny. But you have Lore Keeper for early ramp, Chomp as removal, Yearling gets bigger, Paleontologist also helps you ramp. Turn 2 Pugnacious Hammerskull is very powerful. You have Hulking Raptor that helps you ramp into your bigger threats, including Bonehorde Dracosaur, which honestly, if it doesn't get answered, just runs away with games. I've been seeing this being played in like Explorer to some extent in some of the Rakdos builds. I tried it out in Gruul Vehicles as kind of a top-end threat, and it was pretty sweet. You have Polani's Hatcher, kind of go wide, and then your big fatties, Kogla and Yadaro, can be used early as removal through the kind of channel style ability. And then Trumpeting Carnosaur, removal early or discover. Itali plays your big stuff, and Skullport Nexus as kind of removal insulation. Caverns in this deck, a lot of cheap a lot of dual lands, Restless Ridgeline mixed into there. So that's it for the week. Let me know what you think, what you've been playing. I've been heavy on the Timeless kick, so I haven't touched Standard in probably like 2-3 weeks. But if you do want to get into Timeless or just have questions in general, always drop comments. Greatly appreciate it. Stay safe, everyone. Have a good one.